Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever Meaning of Life podcast. Essentially, I wanted to make a podcast alone in my room to first explain the point of all this because I'm getting a whole ass studio and office. I'm setting up like nice ass camcorder, equipment, and everything. I'm going to have on as many people as possible to explain what they think about the meaning of life, essentially. And so I apologize. The quality may be a little poor right now. I'm just recording on a little Razer camera because I thought I personally need to explain my points and my views and what I think about the world, like what I'm doing, basically my past and like background and everything. Because for this podcast, I want everybody to state their own opinion, to shed light on what they think, all their perspectives and how it shaped their view of the world and what they want to do and all like everything about them pretty much. So I'm going to be extremely non-biased with every single guest. Like I'm going to have on anybody I can. Like anybody that wants to be on the pod, I'm going to try and have on because I want to hear every single perspective there is. And I'm going to be completely non-biased, barely talk about my own opinions and barely talk about what I want to do. It's going to be specifically about the guest because I feel like there's so many different perspectives in this world that we just got to have a place to come and just get together, talk about it, and see where it goes. So, like I said, I'm setting up an entire studio, and the next podcast I record is going to be with a guest, and I'm just going to be questioning him because that's all I want to do. I don't want to put my own opinions and sway their beliefs or anything like that. I just want to make content of every single perspective there is. That's the primary goal of this podcast. Because I've of a lot of opinions and a lot of what I think about the world, and obviously I believe it's true because I'm a man of facts, and if it's not numbers or proven facts, I can't believe in it. You know what I mean? I can't disprove it, but I can't approve of it, I guess, either. So I'm just going to talk about basically my background, what happened to me, and everything like that. And so recently I had a little interesting psychedelic experience, right? I've tripped many times on like shrooms, tried Molly before and acid a few times, but essentially I never had ego death, right? And the first time it happened to me, it freaked me the fuck out because it was complete disassociation, like from my mind, body, everything. I, I did it in California, a place I've never been to before. Like I first stepped into California and I take fucking LSD, bro, and it sent me into like a terrible spiral for like half a year, something like that, like a few months. But what happened was I thought everybody was trying to kill me for a really long time. Like at a point, I even thought family members were trying to kill me. It was intense. Like it was definitely my worst experience, but I would say also my best because of everything I learned from it. It was insane. After I got out of like the little rabbit hole spiral I was in, I reshaped my beliefs and ideas like crazy. And I'm definitely gonna get into all of that, but I mean, it was just an interesting trip because I thought I was Jesus too. There are so many other things like so basically I had every single idea go through my mind possible, right? And I I am a miracle child quite literally because my mother 4 years after my brother was born, her one of her ovaries ruptured, right? And she had to have immediate surgery where her tubes got tied. And then 4 years later, she had a dream of aliens literally like doing surgery on her of like a baby coming out, like they were just basically the doctors fucking while she's in labor birthing a baby, and that was a dream that she had. And then she ended up being pregnant with me, and when she told everyone, no one believed her until she actually showed and like literally had me. So to me that's like basically what made me think I was Jesus, I guess. That was like it was every single little thought or every single little experience that I had, and then like my brain would just take it to the extreme. Like it's like the ego was just basically trying to protect itself from dissolving until it couldn't. And yeah, I just thought everybody was trying to kill me, that everybody was against me, all this other nonsense. And then I was like, man, fuck that. Like, that's a terrible way to think, because I continue to think about the meaning of life. I was like, what the hell is the meaning? What is the meaning? Like, I started reading all these religious scriptures. I read through the Bible, read through the Quran, and was so like catechisms. It's about the Catholic Church pretty much and how it was built. Then I read a lot about Hinduism and Buddhism. Did a lot of research on that. Did a lot of research on politics, like how everything was made from day one. Like thousands and thousands of years ago. How all the thinking progressed. Like basically all the main history I went through. And then I realized it's all just like made up by people. Every single individual thought is made up by people from the dawn of time. Like, my opinion on religions is interesting. I would definitely say I'm an agnostic, because I think there may be possibly like a higher power, right? But we just do not know what the hell it is. And I do not think that any religion has it right, especially Christianity. I mean, like, if Jesus was so great and all knowing, why was he only in the Middle East and like let's say Europe and all that? Why wasn't he like in North America, South America, Africa, Australia, all these other places? Like, he was so great, he would have thought of a way to get there, correct? But for some reason he did not. That was like my first idea, like, oh okay, that's bull crap. The second one, I was like thinking about Buddhism and whatnot, and I was like, man, Buddha was just a regular guy that got lied to about the world. Like, he was told that the world's so great, beautiful, all this other nonsense. Then he went out into the villages, like the markets, and saw the poverty and how terrible and truly harsh the conditions of life are and how shitty it really is for most people. And then he was like, I need to make a change. Those are just great people in history. That's what I think. But then religions were made based off of them for business, quite literally. If you actually listen to Jesus's word, I mean, he said he didn't like any religion in general. He just wanted people to love other people and like everything around them and just be grateful and aspire to do more. And what I think the meaning of life truly is to figure out the meaning of life. I do not think we have done it at all. So, I mean, I partied a shit ton. I had a fuck ton of bitches, and all that shit got annoying. Like, it got extremely annoying because I kept thinking about how I have to do something way bigger. Like, there is no meaning of this. If this is like all it is, just like fun, apparent fun, then that's boring. And like, I mean, I was always like a gamer boy, low key, before I started partying and all this nonsense. So like, I was like, man, I look at life as like a video game. Like, all these levels, you got to go by step by step to go up, 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 and like reach the highest height, or highest height possible. Not many people viewed it like that way. So then I stopped thinking about it as that way until recently again. And I'm like, why don't people do more to expand our knowledge of the meaning of the world? Like, it's insane that the last time the US was on the moon was 1972. We haven't been in space for 50 years. And that is like the main point of, or like the main point of exploration so that we could figure out more meaning in life, right? Like, let's say we find extraterrestrials or anything like that. That's going to give us much more knowledge. And then we get knowledge from them too. Imagine having like an alien on your podcast. That'd be insane. So like I just personally think we should be doing more space exploration, more wondering about life instead of like all I see now is like social media, all this bullshit, all this other nonsense, like people partying all the time, just wanting to party, look as best as they can. Like it's basically all based on looks and appearance. And I literally proved that when I was a little younger, like 4 years ago. I was still a nerd, like a geek, freaking gamer, all this shit. I mean, that's what I am now because I low key enjoy that more than what I used to do. So I posted on my Snap private. I'm like, I'm going to prove that it's all psychological, and I'm going to start partying, getting bitches, and all this shit. That's exactly what happened. Like, it's quite literally all psychological, and just the way that you carry yourself and how you convince other people that you're telling like or spitting facts. That's basically all it seemed to me. And that's quite literally all it is. I mean, think about it this way. The Bible was written by men, right? And if you actually read through it, um it talks about how women aren't able to be with more than one man. Like they are not able to be with more than one man. But it does not mention anything about a man. And ironically, a man wrote the Bible. And then let's think about even recent history, like Salem witch trials and shit like that. Witches quite literally got slaughtered when a man wouldn't like them. He wouldn't like the woman and be like, she's a witch, kill her ass. Like, that's how easy it was. So to me, it seemed like it was more like women just getting oppressed by men for centuries. You know what I mean? Or for like thousands and thousands of years, dating to the dawn of time. Like obviously, there's a lot of women that are much more intelligent than men. There's a lot of men that are much more intelligent than women. But to me, that just like it seemed like a knockoff, or like it swayed my opinion on Christianity and all this other nonsense. I'm like, this just does not seem right. You know what I mean? Then you look at all the priests and like what they do and all this other corruption and just how Christianity started in general. You realize like eventually you realize that it's essentially just a business. And like you can't even talk about politics being something that's legit because the government is essentially the biggest business there is. If we had true freedom, like what happened to me a few months ago wouldn't even be possible because they literally had so I went to two wards actually while I had my fucking like trip breakdown because like I was extremely suicidal. I was like, what the hell is the meaning of life? Like what the hell do I do? And then I'm like, okay, well, to me, the meaning is to try and figure out the meaning. So while I was in the two wards, they quite literally had a piece of paper that said that the judge like revokes your rights and free will, and they have like complete control of you. What kind of freedom is that? And when they came to my house, they gave me no choice to not come with them. It was essentially like I was under arrest when I did nothing illegal. Well, except LSD, of course. But they had no clear evidence of that at all. So that's when I realized all of it is bullshit. I was like, there's no way all this isn't a business because it is. And there's rare, like very, very rare occurrences that someone genuinely tries to progress the meaning of life. Like Elon Musk is someone that I think is trying to because he has SpaceX, he's trying to colonize Mars. expand our knowledge, expand like our civilization, all this other shit. Like, and he's having kids left and right. So I think he knows what he's doing, you know? Now I have a pretty interesting idea about that because that's why I'm doing all this. Like, I have a clothing business right now. I'm trying to stream on Twitch, just like gonna be like gaming and like reacting to stuff, like just random stuff. And then I'm working too. I'm working my ass off right now, like 9 to 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, or sometimes 6 days a week. And then I'm having this podcast, and I'm just going to try and expand this for a few years. Like I said, I'm doing a lot more with this podcast. Like the next one's going to be in the studio. It's gonna be pretty sick. But trying to save up a few mil, and from like investing into crypto and NFTs and stuff like that. Hopefully make a few mil in a few years. Then I'm going to try and sell my clothing brand eventually for hopefully like a few mil or something if I expand it enough. And then what I really want to do is open an AI office, because what I think is the next step that civilization, like expanding their knowledge of the meaning of life, is creating something that we could travel around space at a like almost supersonic rate. And how I think the only way to do that is by getting AI. Because if you perfect AI and you have essentially a problem solver at the tip of your fingers, you could ask him the question, or literally the question to anything, and it'll give you the correct answer. So, like for example, if you asked it, what's the meaning of life? It would tell you, we do not know the meaning of life. Like all of the input into the AI would just be facts, just factual knowledge that we fully know based on numbers, calculations, and actual like tested and done experiments. So the human brain is essentially a storage unit, right? And the subconscious, no, the subconscious is like the storage unit, and then your conscious brain is essentially like the memory card. So like everything you think about is in your brain, correct? But eventually your brain runs out of power and energy, and it just gives up. Like eventually it's overloaded and it can't take anymore. And you can't compile, like, let's say, imagine you have AI and you have all the elements on the periodic table, like uranium, radium, all these other crazy elements, like all these precious metals and whatnot, and has all that knowledge combined, and you ask him how to, or you ask the AI how to, like, in detail, how do I create a supersonic vehicle that's lightweight enough and fast enough to travel around space to get to another galaxy? It would take all the materials in the planet and think of a way to make that. Isn't that insane? So that's what I fucking think is the next step for our civilization to expand. I think it's AI, personally. But yeah, I mean, the point of this podcast is to talk about other people's perspectives. So obviously, people might disagree, people might agree, but in my opinion, that is the only way to like keep succeeding in our society, is to create basically a problem solver that could do almost anything for us, which is AI. And when we perfect it, I think that's going to be the biggest thing that's ever been done. And we're going to have like a complete technological boom of the most advancement we've ever had. So that's essentially my goal, to do that, build up to AI, try to create that. And then what I want to do after that is just explore space, figure out more about what the meaning of life is. And I mean, after all the partying, bitches, whatnot, all that bullshit, like, I realized That's essentially what I just want to focus on. I want to be like a workhorse that works almost like 18 hours a day, gets like 6 hours of sleep, and is just grinding all the fucking time to achieve this goal. Because I think it's very important to make babies and extend the cycle of life, of course, so that if we do not figure out more about the meaning, or figure out possibly even the meaning, then our kids, the kids after that, they're able to, or they're able to expand the knowledge of it. So I still think maybe making babies is important, of course, but like I said, after everything I've been through, after all that, after everything, I don't think having a wife and just like a loving family, like the typical home and whatnot, I don't think it's worth it. Just check this out. I could have a kid with whatever girl, right? Like, let's say in the future, I'm like 25, I want to have a baby, I meet this girl, whatever, blah, blah. Well, I can have a baby with her, right? But I'm not getting this stupid piece of paper that essentially gives her 50% of what I worked my ass off to get and achieve, just to have her ruin, like, my path. Because half of what you have is a crazy ass amount. And Musk has, like, hundreds of billions, and he still isn't even able to colonize Mars. Imagine how much money you have to actually do all of this AI, all this progression. Like, of course, it all starts at an idea, but you have to take baby steps to get there. And I haven't seen many people trying to achieve what I am, but it's definitely going to be hard. And I don't want to have a piece of paper that basically gives 50% of that to a woman that helped me achieve essentially nothing. So I would have a baby with her, and I would definitely love her. I don't even think I would be around too often because personally, I think that the kid needs to learn on his own for most of his life and have somebody as a role model. I feel like the mother should raise the child, but the father should be the role model for the child of what they should do in life. For example, if you have a father that's making millions and changing the world, and he sees you once a month, but you have like the time of your life with him and everything you hear about him, what he's doing, that's going to inspire you to be better than him, correct? Or try to be better than him and progress his legacy to keep going, searching. Let's say for me, it'd be like the meaning of life. Or let's say if somebody's a great surgeon and their kid is going to progress in that or whatnot because they're just inspired by that certain thing, right? But let's say if your dad's just working in home every single day, aren't you going to get annoyed of him? Or like, you're just going to be like, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to live like that because I want to do something more with my life. However, of course, that's how I would think. But not many kids are like that. And they end up going down the same route as their parents. And then they get stuck in a loop. And they keep doing the same thing. Let's say like partying, work. Like work 5 days a week, party on the weekend. Most people get stuck in looped in, but I don't want that for my kids. So they have like a very, very good role model father that they could look up to. And even though they barely see him, he knows he unconditionally loves them and would do like anything for them, but just sees them, let's say, once a month. I think that would be perfect because then that kid's going to learn the most from that. He's going to be inspired to be the best he can. And of course, I'll help as much as I can. But I'm not going to baby the kid all the time because that's just not how he's going to learn. It would make no sense. So, I mean, I have some interesting views. However, that's what I think it should be like. Because I essentially just want to leave offspring, right? I just want to repopulate, keep civilization, humanity going, like do my part in that. However, I also want to work my ass off to getting closer to finding what the meaning of life is and doing as much as I possibly can to getting toward that goal. So I don't want to be spending all my days spending with family and, let's say, going to the park, whatnot. Like, of course that's fun, but I I personally don't want to waste my time doing that. And there's so many people already doing it. It's extremely normalized. So why would I do something everybody's doing? You know what I mean? It just, personally, it's not for me. But there's so many other thoughts that I have. Like, we could talk about big pharma. Like, these motherfuckers are insane. Chinese medications like teas, herbal medicines that have been around for more than like 2,000 years and have been proven to like help with, like, let's say, heart damage or like hypertension problems, like liver problems, many psychoactive teas that do that, and like many other, let's say, kidney problems, shit like that. They've been proven to help so much more than what is in this country. Like, and in most countries, the medicine, like the antidepressants, all this shit, it's such nonsense and the biggest business scam I've seen in my life. Literally, I've tried it before. I was literally like, when I was in the ward, this dude that was gay at like 3 a.m. asked me to jerk off with him. Fucking jerk off with him. Like, this dude is insane. And I ran out of the room and I told the people, right? You know what they did? Because I wasn't taking my medication, like, I was like, I'm just meditating, doing natural remedies, because I knew exactly what that shit did to you. It just turns you into a zombie because it pulls apart your fucking brain nodes and your fucking connections in your brain, and it literally just makes you a fucking moron. It's the stupidest shit I've seen. But when I was there about, what, like 4 months ago, that night when I ran out, they like they didn't tie me down, but they had like two buff ass guys grab me. They laid me on the bed and they gave me a shot that was like meant to last a month instead of taking the medication every day. Or no, it's like, instead of taking it every 8 hours. Instead of taking it every 8 hours, you take the one shot and it works for a month. So they gave me a huge ass dosage of it against my will and just laid me down. And then they were like, you need to take your meds, you need to take your meds. I'm like, why can't I just meditate and like drink this psychoactive tea that I found that's extremely helpful? They're like, no, no, we're teaching medication here. And whenever I would talk about meditation, all this other nonsense, they would just be like, no, no, we're teaching like how to take medication every 8 hours properly here. Like, they would literally be like, this is how you make your schedule. This is how you do this, that. Like, just to take a pill, bro. They're literally convincing people to take these pills. It's insane, and they quite literally make you a zombie. That 1 month, I felt the stupidest I have in my life. I'm so happy that most of the stuff I wrote down, because I swear it's like, it is the worst shit that could be given to a person. I was sleeping like 16 hours a day at a point because of that shit. And it, like, I've been depressed most of my life because I was looking for the meaning of life since I was a kid. But this shit, like, it quite literally fucked me up. Like, I was thinking about killing myself at a point, like, for a week straight, almost every second. And I couldn't even get out of bed. I was just sleeping the whole time. I felt like a fucking vegetable. That shit sucked. That shit was honestly probably the worst experience of my life. But I learned so much from it. It's insane. Like, all of this is just made, like, in my opinion, all this is just made up by humans from the dawn of time. And, like, of course, there's a lot of factual evidence for a lot of things. But let's say, why are they just getting into psychedelic research when shrooms and, like, acid and all this have been helping people be happy and, like, stop depression for freaking thousands of years? You look at paintings from thousands of years ago, they're like trippy ass paintings with mushrooms drawn on them. So they clearly had them, like, definitely not acid, but mushrooms and let's say like ayahuasca, shit like that, that has been around for thousands of years. And I'm just shocked that they're just starting to fucking research it only because so many people finally found out the truth about it. And like, there's like these CIA documents explaining basically everything about it, and everything about the subconscious brain and how it comes out and how you could change the way of your thinking, all this other nonsense. But people finally started reading that, kind of waking up. Now the government's like, oh shit, maybe we should do some psychedelic research. Oh, there you go, man. Even though it's been around for a long ass time, and they made it one of the most illegal substances ever. Yet they're giving people all these shitty ass antidepressants, making them even more depressed and making them feel like a zombie just so that they could work to live. That's quite literally how it is for most people. Most people work just to live. And that is a terrible life. I can't be a part of that. I'm not gonna lie. Like Andrew Tate says, bro, escape the matrix. Like, he has some crazy ass ideas, but I'm not gonna lie. A lot of them I agree with because they're completely true. Except obviously when he goes against literal statistics, then he's a little wrong, but it's part of his persona, his character. What can you do? Funny ass motherfucker though. And even him though, I don't think he's doing what he can to progress humanity's like knowledge of what the meaning of life is. Because most people would just say, "Oh, you just live and die." No, you don't just live and die. Because if there's nothing after, or if there's nothing else in the world, then how the hell is the world 14 trillion years old? There is no way that we're the only civilization like that we know the most. There's just no way. Imagine if there were aliens and they got to our planet, that means they're clearly much more intelligent than us because they've been able to find other civilizations. So don't you think they'd be easily able to hide from us? Like, again, I'm a man of facts. I don't know if there are aliens or not. But I'm just saying we wouldn't even know, most likely, if there were, because they'd look at us and be like, look at these violent ass motherfuckers. They're still thinking about war and shit. Who the fuck cares? They probably have a fucking earth of like just full peace and like actual conscious people. Like, what you gotta understand is that like even the meaning of this podcast too is just like you gotta understand everybody's perspective and like be mindful that I guess everybody around you, you can't be an asshole to everyone and shit because they're just gonna backfire. People are gonna be like extremely against you. Know what I mean? Like everybody has their own opinion, whatever. Gotta hear everybody out, see what they want to say, and what shaped their view and why. Yeah, some people might have like lunatic perspectives, but that's this world, and like that's what makes more people creative. Talking to more people makes other people more creative, and I think that's just a fact. But I definitely want to get into AI because essentially the point is to progress civilization, and I want to create like a supersonic fucking traveling like aircraft so we could explore space much more. That's gonna be like great for the universe and for humanity in general. And the fact that we haven't been back to space since 1972 or the moon, that's just it's mind-boggling. 50 years. Why haven't we been back out there for 50 years? But yeah, those are just some of my fucking views. Like, I have a lot more, want to do a lot more, want to talk about a lot more, but I think we got to leave it to the next podcast. So whoever watches this, see you next time. It's going to be in the studio. That shit's going to be fire. Trust. You'll see. Shit's going to be set up like a fucking pro. And if I'm 19 and I could just do all this, whatever, like have these non-biased, like pretty obvious thoughts. I don't know why most other people don't, but we're gonna see what everyone's perspective is. See you next time. Peace out.